your rotations? How is your punish game? Because right now, both these teams, a lot of question marks because they both messed it up.
Absolutely. A lot of question marks here, but we'll see what the answers end up being. Urgot right away banned off by Team Fusion. Lulu away from Final 5. And of course, we have to see what team comps end up bringing. I think we do see the more different kinds of team comps now than we have in a while in League of Legends. If you watched the European Challenger third place match, you would have seen a basically full tank team from Reason Gaming, Sejuani, but of course we've seen a lot of people bring up new tank junglers that have been very effective, like Gragas.
Yeah, Gragas has been very popular. He kind of still has that early game aggression, level 3. You can gank right off of that. He comes out of the jungle pretty healthy, so you can have that early game presence and still a late game team fighter.
Yeah.
But the Urgot ban is actually a little confusing to me because Fusion and Final 5 both played at mid, and Huhi walked away with a win on Urgot.
Yeah.
So he actually has good experience, good proficiency on that champion that he's shown. So the fact that they're first banning it instead of first picking that is a little concerning. It does leave the fact that he could get a Zed for himself and split push because Urgot is the counter to Zed right now.
It is always surprising me though that teams that will first ban a contested champion when right. It's always strange to me that you would do that here at the very start. But Fusion, of course, they're going to have their own plans. They've been practicing for this match for about a week. They knew they'd face Final 5 ever since Wednesday night. This is the match in front of them. You know they would have all these picks and bans planned out. This is their plan after all. So 30 seconds to go. They're taking plenty of time with this pick. Of course, Final 5's bans would be unknown, and the hover on Rek'Sai, interestingly. So, the two probably biggest tank junglers in my mind in Sejuani and Nautilus. You could argue Gragas is above Nautilus in the tier list, actually Zac above Nautilus in the tier list, but two tank junglers banned all the same. I don't even know why you have a Rek'Sai this long. Like, pick something or don't, I guess they're discussing, but...
Yeah. Well, Impaler, they had a lot of bans towards him. Impaler pulled 4 out of the 6 bans in the previous series last time that Final 5 was playing, so... kind of not choking his champion pool too much at all in these bans. Yeah. They decided to go for more all across the board here, deny the Nautilus from Sheep, and then take one from each lane. So a little confusing, but Chunky Fresh, he does get that Hecarim for himself. So I like the fact that he's going to have something that can pressure Rux, because both these top laners like to just sit in their own world for a bit. They don't have a lot of kill participation. They like to just split push.
Hey, it's interesting to me somewhat. Chunky Fresh has been playing mostly tanks and sort of late game scaling tanks. Team Fusion, again, a team where we say I think a lot of teams actually will pick just late game champions to sort of cover for the fact they might not have great late game shot calling. If they can get an early game lead regardless and then just scale up with like a Scion, then life is good. But more after all for Impaler, he pulls a tank ban and picks up a fighter anyway. Of course, Nidalee's still on the table as well as the rest of the tank lineup here. Morgana, will have to see where it goes. You expect Sheep to play it. He's quite good at the champion overall, but we'll see if he ends up picking up something else. And that ends up being a solo lane Morgana. Fusion do go for Gragas themselves, so 2 tank junglers gone. They grab a third. And Fusion primarily hiding most of their champions here, hoping to get a counter pick on one of these other lanes. Just the blind pick Hecarim is all.
I do like the fact that they picked up the Morgana for Sheep very early on. They banned away his Nautilus, so give him another pick champion. He is a very good Thresh player, but his Morgana was something that he kind of had passed it a little bit while he was in the LCS.
Yeah.
He ended up getting better at that champion than his Thresh, because he didn't get to play it too often.
That's true. You're right. I don't know why I thought Nautilus was banned as a jungler here, as opposed to a support. I think Nautilus is actually more seen as support there. So yeah, you're right. That goes away from Sheep, actually. So to take it all back, no bans in Impaler whatsoever. And he got Rek'Sai. That was the single champion that Impaler wanted to play, all said and done with picks and bans. Final 5 now to take some time for themselves. Fusion, by the way, this actually could look eerily similar to that big bruiser comp we saw from like Reason Gaming earlier today, although with Urgot banned, maybe that's less likely, but defensive supports, beefy frontline. You could Kog'Maw here. He would probably be safe.
You could pick a Kog'Maw here because there's a lot of disengage. When you do pick a Protect the Kog'Maw comp, there aren't any junglers that really supplement or give him shields, except for like Lee Sin, because he also has a disengage move.
Right.
So if you don't get that, and since Lee Sin isn't that great in the meta, you want something like Gragas, who has multiple forms of peel for him and a disengage.
Yeah, so overall a more generalist team so far. Final 5, they go for the Gnar versus Hecarim matchup. Interesting. We've not seen a lot of Gnar in a while. Rux, someone who is still holding on to the champion for the last little while. He played it against Enemy Esports. Actually against the Hecarim. Big fan of this champion in the top lane, specifically in this matchup here. And we'll see if he can keep that Hecarim bullied out. Meanwhile, team fight comp coming in. Morg Sivir, great at setting up fights and following through on them. We just have to see what Gate ends up playing in the mid lane here.
Yeah, I want to touch on the Gnar into the Hecarim, because Gnar, it's all about the lane bully. You're not going to out-wave clear him. You're just going to continue, because Hecarim's going to wave clear pretty much as he tries to sustain through it. So the wave will always be pushing towards the Gnar, and you get to harass him. But they both, like, and here's the thing too, is they both have kind of big differences in lane swaps. Hecarim's a little bit of a better jungler. He doesn't have that flash. He's very gankable.
It's true.
Gnar has multiple ways to lock you up and allow ganks to get to him. So there's a lot of pressure here that could be exerted onto the top lane by Final 5. A Rek'Sai Gnar does a lot against a Hecarim.
Absolutely.
And if they lane swap it, you still have kill pressure on the Hecarim if he shows up into the lane. Gnar's a little harder to lock down.
I mean, Gnar's even like a good 1v2 in the first place.
Exactly.
You can actually farm with boomerangs and such. So Fusion, by the way, I want to touch on this. Mid lane Annie coming out here, I'm guessing.
Mid lane Janna. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, to be fair, that could be the case as well.
It's mid lane Annie.
No, I mean, to be fair, like there's a real reason you could play mid lane Janna. But yeah, Janna, Annie, the last two pickups here. So I like this a lot. I think mid Annie's actually very, very strong. The last time we really saw her was Prolly playing her as a counter to Yasuo, but I think she's actually very good in her own right. Gets blind picked here. Vladimir comes in for Final 5, so mid lane Vlad going to be here. Team fight comp overall, right? Sivir, Morgana already good at team fighting. We'll want to add a Vladimir here. Why not add Gnar, where if you can get the rage and you can lock them all down. The ability to do 5-on-5 actually quite good from Final 5, but also, I mean, Fusion's got a good comp for this. Yeah.
Both want to team fight you. They do have a little bit more, like both teams have split push.
Fusion siege is better.
Yeah, that's the thing, is Fusion just have a little bit better siege, because the wave clear of Final 5 is all Veritas. And it's not even that long range, so their siege is a little risky.
Well, I mean, the big thing with Final 5, though, is, right, if they have good split pushers, and again, we're trusting the fact that, that this Gnar is going to get ahead. Safe to expect Gnar to have a good laning phase on Hecarim, and have a good chance at staying ahead and having the one-on-one lead. I think that's the expectation coming in for Final 5. So let's roll off of that in the first place and assume that actually will happen. The team fight picking then, right? You've got a lane with pressure. You've got a lane with a pressure lead, right? Gnar beating up Hecarim. You assume this will still happen. Could go either way, but you assume. They can pick fights off of bindings, off of Sivir ulti, and then just running the heck in there. Rek'Sai's engaged, not great, but a Sivir ulted Morgana is decent. And there's not a lot of escape tools overall from the other side anyway. Okay, Janna, but you can Black Shield that. Jinx, no escapes. Annie, no escapes. Gragas, again, you can knock back, but you've got Black Shield for that. So there's a somewhat hard but real chance of Final 5 splitting the team up a little bit and actually getting some engages on. On the Fusion side, though, it's like Gragas, Annie, Hecarim, like really dedicated, hard engaged champions that are much harder to outplay and generally much more reliable. And so then this all comes back to me as, if Hecarim does lose to Gnar, you can pick team fights better, but you're on a clock as Gnar keeps pushing you around.
That's true. And the Gnar, you always kind of see when he's going to engage, right? It's always very telegraphed.
I mean, all of Final 5 is very telegraphed, Yeah,
it's all very telegraphed there. Like, that's kind of the difference here between the teams. You can punish people very heavily with an Annie as well. So.
You got it.
Excuse me. A little bit of dry throat.
It's okay.
But yeah, just looking at the teams here, and mid Vladimir is something that has come to a big surge. So I actually want to touch on that a little bit, because mid Vlad, people were like, Vlad's always a top laner, right? Like
back in the day.
He's been a top laner for a very long time. But the big reason that he's played in the mid now is just the scaling of him. He has a farm lane. He has constant sustain,
wants to farm,
constant wave clear. And the reason that he's played middle more often than top now, for the most part, and he seems to be a little more effective there, is twofold. One, you get to take Ghost, because you don't have to take Teleport.
Right.
So you get Ghost and you get Flash. You always want Ghost on him, because that's his late game consistent damage ability that helps him get that damage out.
Ether Wisp, bro, just get move speed. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and also the W, the Sanguine Pool, the duration of it, the escape is better in a smaller lane than a long lane.
That's true.
Because the long lane, you're very gankable in the top lane as a Vladimir, and you have no gank assistance, and a lot of ganks want to go off to those sides for the most part.
That's true.
Middle, it's easier to avoid them, and you don't even have to set up those ganks. You just keep shoving.
We made right now. The same picks and bans will be there for that game. We will get back into the game as soon as possible. In the meantime, we're just going to talk about team comps and how these teams will end up playing out. So one thing I do want to talk about as well is actually the scaling on these teams, because Fusion, again, Hecarim, I feel like he's going to start dipping after a little while. Annie's in what I think, and he is in what I consider to be kind of a rough lane. I guess Gragas will outscale the Rek'Sai. Annie will get outscaled by Vlad. Jinx will probably outscale Sivir, although she can pick team fights, just the damage upper from that champion. And then just, late game, like, probably Magi, Soulstealer, Janna probably going to give a lot of extra AD to Niantanso. Like, you think how these comps kind of pan out, and it's like Niantanso is like the hope of Fusion on Jinx, praying that he gets to 6 items if they have to get that far.
They have a lot of peel for him, too.
Right.
You have Anti-Stun, you have Janna disengage, you have Gragas disengage. Hecarim can be used a little bit as a disengage tool. He's like another threat. So Fusion really get to pick their fights. And like you said, Final 5, they're engaged.
Have sequestered on the other side of the map right now, so if they wanted to go for like a 3-camp, rush the turret down at 3 minutes, that's totally doable. The cannon wave is right now spawning and walking into the lane, so Fusion could use that cannon wave to push in. And you can see a couple more autos coming in. Nian looks like he will push this in on that wave. But with Trance recalling, I really think that Fusion should just push down a fast turret, because they don't have a freeze. And you have Janna, which is one of the, like, Janna Jinx is probably the best, outside of Tristana, I guess, like the best early game turret taking combo. But instead, a bit of a greedy play. Fusion, Nintendo doesn't spot the rest of Final 5 going in for this red buff, but he is taking a somewhat greedy camp by taking Raptors here. Okay, instead they want Chunky Fresh to get XP. They're going to send Janna down there.
Nintendude coming around the corner.
He knows it's aggro, but there's almost no way he can take this. Trinkets it, says, okay, well, the camp's dying. And Nintendude uses the Raptor buff. He's not going to clear the ward.
He does get level 3, though, so Nintendude being level 3 is pretty important because he's going to have his body slam for this.
Alright, it's going to be a 3-on-4 right here. Knockup from Trance. These guys look like they will stay safe, and Chunky Fresh, to get out of his early game, is going to start gaining XP. So right now, Fusion is getting more experience than Final 5 on the map.
They can't get it. They can't.
Wow.
This.
Okay. So they choose not to fast push. Instead, they choose to defend the turret in a 3-on-4, and they are successful here.
There's a
TP's top.
couple reasons why that happened. Nintendude was on that side level 3, so he has all of his abilities available to him. The body slam, you get that at level 3 as Gragas. It allows him to completely stunt it, and Impaler doesn't get those extra camps, so he doesn't get 3, and he doesn't get his move block to close the distance.
Oh wow, you're right. They denied level 3 from Impaler. Yeah, that's a big deal here. Okay, so we're back to roughly equal lanes with a 2-on-2 in the bottom lane, though an unorthodox one with Janna Hecarim, but to each their own. Spell shield, good job Veritas. And of course the 1-on-1 top.
But the fact that Hecarim is getting farm in this lane is very important for Fusion, because we're under the assumption that he's going to be paired up against the Gnar, and if he does, it's a losing lane matchup. So he actually ends up with Cloth 5 at the start, so he can survive this lane as long as possible.
Yeah. And it could look good, but Impaler is sneaking into the wardless, escapeless top lane here. Gnar is half Fury, jumps in, forces the flash from Nian, but that is a flash down and an easy repeat gank.
That's a very quick flash from Nian Tanso, because you don't really see that tunnel come out until the move block is almost 3/4 the way done on the second.
Oh, really?
On the end of it. Because it doesn't appear right at the start. He's going to go back through. He has it. Oh!
Flash knockup, smites in, got Chilling Smite already. Nian Tanso has no flash, but there's going to be a stun coming in. Nintendude rejoins the battle. And of course, there is the root from Nian. Is there going to be enough damage? Now both champions down to 200 health. Nintendude lands the body slam, misses the house toss from Rux. Zap's going to land, Barrel's going to land, heal comes in, first blood Nintendude X, and the gank has been foiled.
All of that attention to Nian Tanso's lane from Nintendude. Nian Tanso didn't clear that tunnel and left himself open to that second gank, and Impaler, he likes to get those early game leads for his team, and you know he's going to go after Nian Tanso because he's such a core part of Fusion.
And good job on Nintendude getting himself into that top lane in time for the repeat gank. Well played by everyone. And you're going to see, though, Nintendude did get spotted on his way up towards the mid lane. He's not going to find much, just the Trinket ward or the regular ward, to maybe look for Rek'Sai's next jungle path.
You can see the Ignite went down there from Chunky Fresh onto Veritas. Looks like he got the heal in response to it in that bottom lane, so a couple trading there.
Yeah, interestingly, yeah, those were traded summoners here, but looks like everyone's going to be fine. Ninja Tabby rushed by Chunky Fresh. Of course, it is a pretty physical damage heavy lineup, and that'll allow him to get home guards before too long.
And this is something about Hecarim that people always see. You always see the boot rush, which gives him damage, but then you see the home guard. And people are like, oh, the home guard gets him back to lane faster. But the big important part of the home guard rush is not the fact that like you come out of the base, home guard TP. It's that you don't have to use your TP to get back to lane.
Yeah,
you get back to lane so quickly that you save that TP for those crucial moments.
Yeah, it takes you about, what, 15 seconds, I would say, total, instead of maybe the 25-ish it would take otherwise.
It's something that people don't put a lot of weight on, but it's very important because he needs that TP to be effective in the fights.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be pretty nice then for Chunky Fresh there. He's up 8 CS right now over Rux, his opposite member on the other side of the map.
And I think a great example of how to use Hecarim with the home guard early on is if you look at Impact last week, he kept backing, and even when his bottom lane turret, he'd TP, he'd back home guard to where he was being pressured, and then you see him back over and over again to get to the lane that has the pressure and basically treat it almost like a mini TP.
Yeah, it's definitely really good. One of the unsung things that's hard to realize how strong it is just how much XP you actually need in League of Legends. Just if you're able to always be in lane, you just are stronger than other champions because you're higher level than them.
Yeah.
And the fewer minions you miss out on, the stronger you are as individual champion and as a team. Huhi right now still playing the farming game. He is basically trading equal with Gate, up slightly but not a ton. Chunky Fresh in a 1v2. This lane is actually frozen against him.
Yeah. He's going to have a little bit of a rough time here.
Rough time in this top lane.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, Niantanso, he got to back off a BF sword, whereas Veritas got pickaxe, longsword. Chunky Fresh, though, getting picked on a little bit by Impaler.
It doesn't seem to matter for him. I think he's fine.
It's a lane that he has to extend for anyway, but look at this.
The thing is, they know Impaler's bottom. This is a 100% safe 3v1 dive. Rux has no flash. They know it's down. Okay, Trance pulls aggro, puts in the Javelin. Yeah, easy. Easy, easy, easy. Well played by Fusion. Quick and safe top lane turret.
Trance was sitting up there for so long, too, in the brush, just soaking experience and waiting for this opportunity. And as soon as Impaler showed himself, it's immediately a turret for Fusion off the early game.
And I want to know what more they can get here because, you see, we saw 3-on-1 against the Hecarim and it didn't do anything. 3-on-1 top lane gets the champion and the turret kill. And these guys can keep pushing top. In fact, I would want to see them a hard push for this and force a reaction from Impaler. Impaler on the wrong side of the map. He's nowhere close to level 6.
Blue for himself. Yeah, like in Rek'Sai, you don't need your blue. It might give him level 6, but man.
I actually don't like Fusion going for the red buff there. I really think they could have gotten a lot of turret damage down. And if someone did show the defend, get the red buff afterwards.
Yeah, that's kind of a big mismatch there. Because
BF Sword, Janna, shield the Jinx, like it's a free turret.
If you pressure top, you force possibly Rux's TP. He was just going to walk back to lane, but you get a lot of damage on that tower. Impaler, opposite side of the map. They didn't know that he was there, though. They didn't know that he was still doing his blue, but they knew that he wasn't in that bottom side jungle because Nintendo was there.
Right.
Or that top side jungle.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. The one right below them, the jungle right below them. I know how that goes. I say push top all the time when I'm like,
when you're bottom?
At bot lane tier 2, right? Like almost at their base. Like it's the top of the map. Oh, right, wrong lane.
Yeah.
Either way, Fusion chooses to, after that turret, recall back, get Zertgreaves, still the BL sword.
Veritas Chunky's here.
Alright, well, it's going to be level 6 on Sivir and level 6 on Chunky Fresh. He holds out and not back in. They are afraid of the re-engage, and for good reason. Down goes Niantanso right off the bat. Nintendo was not around. They thought they could win that fight in the 3-on-3. They were wrong.
Both teams were planning the same thing, but Impaler's ultimate put him down near that bottom lane, and the binding from Sheep made it so that everybody had to ditch Niantanso.
Well, if they don't one-shot the enemy AD carry, you know Rux is going to have his teleport up on Gnar. They force the TP, but that TP is still going to allow him to get Dragon, as well as that first kill. Nintendo.
Is he going to go for it?
He should. E over then smite it, right now.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay. He had vision of it.
Yeah, but ult smite, homie.
Didn't go for it.
Just got to go hard. It's okay. Either way, Fusion chooses to not risk their own flash cooldown, and it will be the first Dragon of the game, going over to Final 5, which will help equalize the gold lead somewhat here, as it is a 1,400 gold lead for Fusion. No surprise for these guys. They tend to be so darn good at playing lane swaps. They choose to lane swap almost every single game, and yet again, Fusion get the lead from it. Just that one misplay in the bot lane.
Here's the thing, though, is top lane's going to shove out really hard. It's going to be a lot of farm falling into Chunky Fresh's hands. And off the plays that were happening, Veritas caught up in CS. He was down 10-15 to Niantanso. He gets back up there. Rux was behind as well. Now he's even Chunky Fresh, but Chunky's going to pick up this whole wave.
And, of course, Rux is also now stuck overextending. His flash is back up, to be fair, so he's not incredibly endangered, but you got to expect Rux anytime could just be beset by a jungle gank, maybe even an anti-roam as well. Not a lot of tank stats still on Gnar. Only a Giant's Belt makes him not all that durable.
But he still gets this matchup that we were talking about that's pretty much in his favor, harassing the Hecarim down.
Let's see how much damage Chunky Fresh takes.
Chunky,
come on. Look, down to half. Almost gets stunned there by Rux. That would have been another 300 damage down off of the...
It's a lot of damage he just took for free, and you can see he's already backing himself up. He's going to miss creeps off.
He doesn't know if there's a Rek'Sai around. There's no ward control at all for the top lane. Fusion choose to focus bot lane instead. They play safe with the enemy top lane, and now they realize Rek'Sai has gone to the bot lane. He could get XP again if he wanted to.
Oh, the knockup!
TP is up for Hecarim, keep in mind. So the second half of this fight could get crazy. Trance will stay alive, but Fusion are stuck on the wrong side of the turret, and Impaler goes in and realizes he's about to be outnumbered here. Onside of Shadows is up, used, gets the kill right there onto Jinx. These guys still on the wrong side, but a mini wave coming in to make that turret do nothing, and now Sheep is stuck on now the, again, wrong side of the map.
Yeah, all 5 members
Chunky
here.
pulls aggro, in comes the Annie-Sun. Huhi gets the kill. They could stay for the turret, and they will maybe do so, but they are respecting the Jinx Vlad, or Sivir Vlad.
All 5 members of Fusion are down here in this bottom lane. Huhi still has his flash, so he could continue this. Trance off on the side, he has to back up. Meanwhile, Rux has gotten a lot of damage on this top lane turret. He's not going to get it this wave, though, but he gets a lot of free CS to himself to give himself an advantage over Chunky Fresh. But look at this!
Flash engage on the Veritas might be the spell shield he needs. Nope, still goes the kill of an Nintendo X, and now Gate maybe on the wrong side. Sanguine Pool going to be pretty important here. They go for the turret first. Right choice here.
He's going to be alone.
Nowhere for him to go. Pools the zap. Rocket comes in. Nice flash, and Ghost will get him away from this one. But Fusion picked up 3 kills in a basically turret trade.
Yeah, they put themselves at a 3K gold advantage at 13 minutes. And Rux, you know, he didn't have his TP to even the odds there at all and come in as the Mega Gnar. So instead, he has to just sit in the top lane, get what he can. There may have been, in retrospect, an opportunity for him to back, but getting that turret was the best thing for them on Final Five.
You can't expect it to go all that well. Nice knockback on a Veritas. The Black Shield, unfortunately, a little bit late.
Fusion just play this out of the turret range, and in the minions here, they try to clear them as fast as possible so they're not getting that consistent damage.
Wards right there. That was a crucial ward by Trance.
Really nice ward there, but then they eventually just blow them up. And then it just trails off for a bit. Nothing really happens, but then they wait for the mini wave, and they're like, oh wait, we can dive Sheep.
That's the really smart thing. Waiting for a wave on a turret dive like this. I've seen so many people walk in too soon and take damage they don't need to. Well played by Fusion.
Yeah, and it's off of the TP timer of Rux that they were able to make those types of plays.
Yeah, I mean, Rux's last teleport turned around a fight in the bottom lane that Fusion maybe overextended for, but teleport was back up for Chunky and not for Rux, and Chunky made the right choice. He was getting pushed off his turret, he recalled to get the home guard buff, and, you know, he had a good ward come down to make him make that play. So, smart things by Fusion. The first 15 minutes, unsurprisingly, very good for the blue team. But the question still stands, what else can these guys do with the lead? Huhi, by the way, rushes Luden's Echo on Annie, interestingly.
It's a little interesting. It's just going to give him that earlier burst, but it's a little more difficult to charge up a Luden's on Annie. She doesn't get that many spell rotations off. Her movement isn't that high. If he gets, like, even if he gets Moby Boots, you're not going to get multiple rotations inside of a fight off of Luden's because you lose the movement speed bonus. So it's just for that burst and trying to get an initial combo that one-shots people.
Yep.
It's for that mid-early spike.
I mean, that's what this team wants to do, right? It's a Trinity Force spiking Hack Room, it's a Luden's Echo spiked Annie, and in fact, Nian Tansu, who is ahead on gold right now, is going to be pretty darn strong. Jinx, for a late game carry, has actually a really good early game spike because of her powerful spells. He's in a bad spot. Yeah, he doesn't have flash, he's going to die.
He's going to have to just give it up.
Nice. Not quite dying to minions, but at least he lets Team Up Plague take him out.
Yeah, it's very difficult, too, this matchup. Where they last picked the Vladimir, Annie doesn't have a lot of pressure on the Vladimir.
Nope.
Because of the fact that he just gets to sustain. It's not one of those matchups where Annie pokes you over and over again and then has the threat of one-shotting you because you're at 3/4 HP. Vladimir's almost always topped off, and he can outplay you by pooling the Tibbers.
It's true. It's hard, but yeah. So here we go. Gate is on split push duty here on Vlad. No summoners up, no ulti up, but he can just push waves in happily. They can use Sivir as their primary wave clear. Of course, Vlad's wave clear is pretty risky. It's pretty short range. Sivir, it's pretty much free. So attribution of resources there. They do still get Rux fighting up against Chunky Fresh, and so it looks like this is going to stall out for a short time.
And here's the thing, too, about the... I just want to think about the Vladimir a little more, is he gets magic resist items very easily, because it's part of his build. The Spectre's Cowl into the Spirit Visage gives him more lifesteal, gives him more cooldown reduction, right? He's in a very good spot with his build against Annie, and he's more durable. And it gives him AP, too, because of his passive.
Right, so yeah, lots of good
also, Abyssal's good for him, too. Like, there's a lot of reasons to pick Vladimir into an Annie.
I would not Abyssal here. He has no magic damage teammates or more than one magic damage enemy.
But he can still get it.
In a theoretical level, yeah. I mean, that item is not garbage on him. Here we go. Fusion, though, going to make the risk for the top lane play. Teleport is up for Rux, but it's been rushed down way too fast. I don't know if I saw this one coming.
Rux
good Black Shield by Sheep. But I don't know why you TP in at this point. Looks like Rux can't. Yeah, well, he's going to get some turret damage here, but Fusion needs to recall Chunky Fresh and get him back to the top lane, like, right away.
See, now it's a 2K difference between them. It was 3K at one point, and here's the TP basically coming in for Chunky Fresh. Runs up, saves the turret.
Yep. 16 seconds from hitting recall to being right there. Looks like all is well for Chunky Fresh.
That was 16?
It's 8-second home guard buff and 8-second recall, right?
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
from
whoa.
hitting B.
Yeah, from hitting the B button.
Yes.
I was like, whoa.
Oh, hold up. Rux is in a bit of a 1v3 right now. He will become Mega Gnar, but can he get away with this? Impaler's nearby. Two-man stun, gonna lock them up around for a lot. Chunky Fresh very low on health. Janna forced ult to get them out, and now Sivir will not pop ulti on the chase. No, she did actually, but there's just no damage left to follow up here. Good dodge. Veritas left a flash to get away from this one. Let's think and bait something out. Oh god, if that was a crit, he was dead right there. He comes in. Nice jump by Rux to save him. Nintendude maybe not done though. Rux is gonna have to flash away from the barrel.
Wow, Rux played that really well.
Yeah.
He flashed through a boomerang backwards so he could disengage Chunky Fresh at the same time that he was not going to get hit by the barrel. But you can see Gate gets this turret mid lane though. They are going to lose their turret on Final 5 side because Fusion just group up after they route them top.
Yeah, when Vlad doesn't have any ways to get around the map and he stays in the bot lane,
they might get this one too.
This is really good. Fusion looking a lot better now in the early mid game, just going for the relentless turret pushing. Jinx, Janna, level 8 and 10, really good at knocking down structures here, and Fusion push their gold lead quite nicely back to 3K.
Yeah, and Veritas, he doesn't have that IE just yet. There's a lot of early mid-game spikes coming out here from the Luden's Echo and the IE on Fusion side for team fighting, but Final 5, they do have the Vladimir, they do have the Woda ready, so now they are going to try to group up and they're going to try to counter-push something here. It's hard to get in here though because the wave clear.
Yeah, it looks like there's nothing going to be happening right now, and now we got like 25 seconds to wait till the next wave shows up, so wasted resources there by Final 5. Good defense, of course, by Fusion. And it looks like the blue team so far so good in the start of this best of 3. Once again, this is, of course, the third place match of the Challenger Series. Winner goes into the promotion tournament against Winter Fox or Dignitas in a couple of weeks. And Fusion holding an early game lead and not really allowing Final 5 to pressure much. Any turret that Final 5 has gotten has been bought with something else that Fusion gotten at the same time. So far, I gotta say, with the exception of one probably bad kill given away, a lot of good choices by Fusion. And overall playing the map quite a bit better.
And the thing with the Gragas build here too, that he just hit the Righteous Glory, you're able to chase down a Sivir very easily. Righteous Glory is 80% movement speed.
Yeah.
Sivir ulti is 60%.
Yep. Life of Pain. Righteous Glory is 60.
Is it 60? It's 80%
slow is 80, yeah.
So it's the same amount, and then you get the slow. So it's 3 seconds too. It's pretty long.
Yeah. It's definitely enough to make good things happen. You can
better than Talisman of Ascension, I believe.
60 for 3, I think. Yeah. Is it? Talisman might be 40. I don't remember. We'll see if anyone buys it here in this game. I like it a lot on I actually think Talisman is the best tier 3 GP10 item personally. That the active is so darn strong. Even though Righteous Glory already exists in League, I think stacking those things is perfectly fine. It's a really happy place. Right now, Infinity Edge did get bought by Veritas, so he's going to have at least some damage output. But Niantonso, very unsurprisingly, is far ahead. He's already halfway to Phantom Dancer there.
Talisman is 40% for 3 seconds.
Okay. I was right. Sweet. By the way, I was right about a cowl being a head covering.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I tweeted about it as soon as you said it. I'm like, a cowl is a hood.
Yep.
And I was like, it's kind of like, a cowl can have a cloak attached to it. It's kind of like the onesies for monks.
I mean, it's like a motorcycle can have a sidecar attached to it. Doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, but a sidecar is not a motorcycle.
No. Yes, a cowl.
By the way, onesies for monks, I just got that.
Because it's one piece. It's a whole thing. It's just one piece.
I mean, I get it. I just think it's a funny sort of idea. Does it have like footsies on it too?
No.
Like feety pajamas, you know? They have little like rubber soles, so you don't like slip on the linoleum floor. You know, in Monkville.
Monkville.
I don't know.
You could have just said the mission.
Like, that's true. In Urdistan.
Welcome to Monkville. Enjoy your stay.
Why not?
Oh man, 21 minutes into game 1, it's already happening.
Wouldn't be Challenger if it weren't for random talk.
That's true.
But one of the 3 pillars of Challenger. Aiden Sired Moon, David Freak Shirley, and bad jokes.
Oh man.
At least you got to be named first.
Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very important in research papers too.
We were doing it in increasing order of importance though.
See, that's the thing is, you can always tell who fought for it when you read a research paper, because you're just like, is it alphabetical? Or is it by, nope, that guy fought for it. That guy put in more work right there. If his last name starts with a Z and he's first, you know he fought for that one.
Dr. Zimmerman's a jerk. All right, well, Team Fusion, though, have gotten some pretty damn good ward control. This top jungle littered with more blue than... I got nothing. I was hoping it would come to me, it didn't. But these guys
is that how you do it? You just start something and you're like, I hope
oftentimes, yes.
I don't even know where this is going.
Much like freestyle rap. Which I'm also bad at.
That's not what I've been hearing on Reddit.
Either way, though, Rux in a really good spot against Chunky Fresh. He's going to get chunked down. Nice Q by Rux. Couldn't be dodged. That's the matchup Rux wanted all along, and finally gets to face him in a long lane.
Yep, that 1-for-1. One-on-one, mano-y-mano there. Takes him out.
Yep.
We were talking about that matchup and how it's very favorable for the Gnar when you don't have an escape on the Hecarim and the Gnar can match you with Hyper, slows you, gives himself movement speed. It's really, really rough to deal with as a Hecarim.
Yeah, life is pain. Chunky Fresh does have his Triforce done. I don't know if he had it during the fight. I'm going to check. No, he didn't. No, he died with Fade Sheen, so didn't have the extra move speed he needed to survive. And now we can see Dragon going to Final 5, number 2 of the game for them. Off of that kill, nicely done.
Rux is really the big player right now for Final 5. He's been getting them turrets on the side. He also just got that solo kill on Chunky Fresh, which got them that second Dragon, which got them that extra pressure. So he's the one keeping them in this game right now. He's gotten their turrets for them in the top lane.
That's true, man. Right now, the split push power of Rux, and you know, it's interesting. When the Challenger Series started, and when we saw Final 5 lineup, I was like, wow, way back in expansion. It's like Final 5, a bunch of guys I haven't heard of, I guess Schroeder Ace, and Rux. Like, man, how did they get Rux in this team? Like, Rux is amazing. And, like, Challenger Series started, like, all right, dude, Rux, it's his time. He's going to be awesome. Like, I keep waiting for Rux to be awesome.
I feel like we say that every Challenger Series.
Yeah, and then within the last, like, week or two, I'm like, man, Rux is not having a good season. Like, you know, Rux is not, like, the big person on this team anymore. It's Veritas doing well, and Impaler's trying to make things happen. And then finally we get a good Rux game again.
Well, it's kind of the top lane meta, though, because he doesn't get a whole lot of opportunities to shine. He does well in his matchups, but in the late game, he is one of the better team-fighting top laners.
We've seen Seraph. Like, you can make a team all about your top lane if you really want it.
That is true. Seraph seems to be the exception, but not everybody builds Infinity Edge on
Nidalee. No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. But either way, Rux right now doing his job very well. He's being consistent for the team, and he's certainly winning his matchups.
And I just saw that, too, with the Luden's Echo. I was thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, Fusion have actually a lot of wave clear that you wouldn't expect, because it's the Jinx, right? And you're like, oh, he clears from distance. But the Gragas barrel is what you max first on jungle Gragas.
Yeah.
Gives you a good amount of wave clear, and if you time it right, you can knock out a caster wave to like half HP if you let the barrel sit there.
Yeah.
And then Huhi, getting the Incinerate, Disintegrate, and the Luden's Echo, he also gets some extra wave clear on top of this. So Final 5 are going to have to deal with waves in a very creative way, because Fusion have kind of showed their cards in a very creative way themselves.
Well, the difficult thing, though, is the gnarly waves from Final 5 are getting pretty hard to deal with, but the top lane just got pushed down by Niantic, who solo split pushed that, and right now the rotation game is actually going quite nicely for Fusion here. They're sitting now still at 3,000 gold, but they're knocking more and more structures down. It's 5 turrets to 2.
Here's the thing, is it's 3k gold. Are they going to be able to catch Gate?
Yeah, we're going to even go. I guess his team can show up soon. Exhaust on while the pro comes in. Rux flashes in for Nian, and Nian will stay alive thanks to Trance. Dodges the house. In comes Sheep, going to pump the ulti and lands the bind, but Sheep's going to go down first. Niantanso is taking some damage, but Veritas gets feared. Chunky Fresh saves the day, and this is going to be a cleanup crew now for Fusion. Gate's not going to get anything done here. 4 for 1 in this team fight.
This is a typical example of when somebody says, don't focus the tanks. You got to kill the tanks first. You can't just run at the Jinx over and over and over again, especially when he has this amount of peel going for him. Niantanso was kiting backwards the entire fight. He's just trying to get away from these guys and doing a very successful job of it. He's one of the best team-fighting AD carries in Challenger. And with a team like this that can peel for him, it's no problem. They're going to get the Baron off this.
Nicely done, Fusion. Good job, Chunky Fresh, getting in the team fight, cleaning up and making sure Sivir went down, and good job, Fusion, for getting the Baron right afterwards. Here we go. Nice big lead. This is interesting. So both TPs are coming in. Actually, it's Nars, and then Hecarim's comes afterwards.
Rux Flash only ultis Niantanso and gets the stun off afterwards in an attempt to just lock him up. Sheep flashes for this, and now nobody's dealing with the fact that Annie's flanking, that Chunky Fresh is flanking. Veritas tries to run in just to get to Niantanso and doesn't even deal with Chunky Fresh, who's going to take him out from behind. That was just really, really sloppy from Final 5. It looks like the call was get Niantanso, but they didn't evaluate the amount of power and support he was going to get from the team.
Yeah, I mean, just think about how the fight goes in general. Like, you can, like, some champions can dive 80 carries. Vlad's a good one at it. If you Sivir ult the team, you're good at it. Hecarim can do it. Like, that can exist. Like, you can go for the backline, but Gnar ulted with no one else around. And just, there was no follow-up, and the peel, of course, was very good. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to that. You're absolutely right. It's no one else was there to go hit Niantanso, and
like, if you layered everything at the same time onto Niantanso, then you're going to
get popped. He'll get popped.
Guy will drop, but if you're just kind of staggering in like that, it was a very desperate attempt to save Gate. They ended up giving 3 kills over to Niantanso because of that.
Well, Niantanso's plenty big, and they're up 6,000 gold now, Fusion. You know, Dragon's in a minute 15. They don't need that one really badly, though. It's only Dragon number 2. You got to figure the siege game should be fine. Sivir's not great at knocking down these melee minions.
The wave clear from Final 5 is pretty abysmal. They're going to have to use the close range of the Vladimir.
Fusion aren't trying. Like, Fusion aren't even trying. They're letting it go. I'm a little bit surprised by the hesitation of these guys. I realize the ultis are back up, but Gnar's not anywhere close to being big. There's no risk of Fusion getting hard engaged on right here.
Yeah, you just walk up, you knock the turret down, you
all right, here you go, hit it.
Impose your will onto this turret, and you just go.
Like, you could even minigun form this if you save.
Oh, yeah.
But Gate getting poked out, turret's 3 hits from dead. And looks like Fusion going to continue to play it safe, but they do pop Rux's Mega Gnar. That'll time out by the time the next wave comes in, and yep, Final 5 realized this. No Gnar threat, nothing to be done here, and Fusion will get turret number 6 in this game, and they still got a minute left on Baron.
Yeah, Niantanso's up an entire item right now. He's got his completed Phantom Dancer, IE, and Bloodthirster to Veritas' IE Static Shift.
Let's go one more time. There we go, minigun form. They know he's safe. Good dodge in the binding here, and the turret's going to be going down. Final 5 cannot find a way to defend their own base. 29 minutes in, and Fusion going to take down an inhibitor already off the back of Jinx doing all their damage. Well done, Fusion.
It's going to be very hard for Final 5 to put up a good fight for the remainder of this game because they're going to have to flank with Rux. Rux, you know, we saw him get that good ulti onto Niantanso, but the fact is it was only one person, right? That's the reality of that situation. He got that guy with a good TP flank. It wasn't enough for the team, though. Big problem here, lack of wave clear on Final 5, and they can't start the fights in the first place. Fights are disengaged by Fusion, and they have superior wave clear.
Yeah, absolutely great. Fusion just able to play the map so much better. They're going to try for the engage there. Slow on the Gate. Counter engage comes in from Hemoplague, but Gate going to be a bit locked up for this one. Exhaust comes in. A nice knockup, but maybe there's the damage output. Janna comes down, and intended very low as well. Rux goes in, but down goes the backline as Chunky Fresh engages for 2 more. It's a double kill for both Huhi and Niantanso. Only Gate's left alive.
That layering of CC and ultimates into that just cluster of people. Everybody's trying to save Gate. That guy's got Flash and Ghost. He's going to be fine.
He's still got Flash.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. You don't have to help him, but he turns the fight around and he tries to make something happen, and they go 4 for 1, and they're going to lose an inhibitor off of this.
The thing is, there's a wave bot lane right now. The respawn timers are really short, to be fair.
They're going to go for 3. They're going to go for the safety here, because Fusion have a history of overextending for things, like Baron, like ending the game.
They're backdooring an entire inhibitor turret right now. Thankfully, Tibbers was tanking it, and they won't get more than that turret itself. Out they go. Baron's not up for a while, neither is Dragon. Fusion can grab his red buff. Looks like there's no risk for this, and they can safely recall.
Yeah, the game was 3K apart for so long, and it was just that play up top where Final 5 got a little too antsy. They saw Niantanso in a bad spot, and they all just trickled in. So this is really just aftermath of that, and the pushing of the turrets, and the fact that these team comps operate in a very certain way.
You know, both these team fights got one off the fact that Fusion has engaged tools, and they chased down a Vladimir. Both fights went 4 for 1, I think, exactly, off of, hey, we can engage because we actually have engaged tools. And lo and behold, things went well for Team Fusion here. The Righteous Glory helping, of course, quite a bit as well. They don't have to use all their ultimates to start fights. And Fusion now, what do they want to do? 2 minutes on Baron, probably too long for them to wait. You could go for top inhibitor, or you could just go for the Nexus right away and ride a super minion wave in. I think both would be fine.
Final 5 all had pink wards in their inventory. They're trying to get control over their jungle back, but Fusion just have so many ways into the base. They have pressure in 2 lanes constantly. They can group 5 as top and get this last inhib, which is going to be what they're going to do. They're going to try to go for this because they want those double super minion waves, because they still have Nexus turrets up.
Indeed they do. They don't want to risk dying under Nexus turrets, so they're going to play the push game for that one last inhibitor. Final 5. I don't see how they could defend this one properly. They're down 11,000 gold practically. But Fusion still giving respect. Nintendo clears away a ward. Minions go down. Slow and steady right now, the race for Fusion. They say, look, mids and bot are both going to be pushing in. They will have to be reacted to it at a certain point, so don't rush this here.
Niantanso's big right now.
And when will Final 5 switch over? There goes Rux to stop down at the turrets, and right away, there's the move for the inhibitor. Has to be given up. All 3 inhibitors are down.
Niantanso's up basically 2 items at this point. He has 100% kill participation for himself. And this been doing work this game.
Oh man, he's been absolutely crushing it. The turrets as well. That's going to go down without much of an effort there. And only one structure is staying alive now inside this Final 5 base. Yeah, who can even start the fight? There's the backline dive. Rux goes down first. Then Tank gets exploded. And there's only a few things left to do for Fusion to close this game out. 33 minutes in. Nicely done. Snowball in the early game lead and having a great mid-game. Game 1 of the best of 3 goes to Fusion.
33 minutes in. Pretty clean after they got that capitalization off a misplay. And I was talking about how it's all about the punish game. You punish the composition, you punish the overextensions, and that's going to be the winner of this series because both teams have a history of making late game mistakes. And they showed it right there that Fusion, they're able to capitalize off of the mistakes and the draft when it gets to a certain point.
Yeah, really well done. They got Niantanso rolling. Jinx got ahead in items, and she got to take down turrets. Jinx Janna, a great turret sieging team, and they managed to pressure that a fair bit this game. There was, in my mind, one missed opportunity, but they still kind of found the rest of them, knocked these buildings down, got a gold lead for themselves to pick fights better. Right, Rasha Righteous Glory on Gragas. Start your fights all the time. Annie's follow-up engage, the first mid Annie I think we've seen all season, to my recollection, at least in North America at the very least. And all these things worked out. I mean, Huhi didn't have to do much. He was 3-1-5. He had the lowest kill participation on the team. But look, just land a flash stun. That's all we care about. It's going to start the fights out.
And survive that mid lane. Don't let Gate get ahead of you. He didn't have like the greatest matchup with kill pressure on Annie. But the fact that Niantanso had 100% kill participation, had the most gold in the game by 4,000.
Yeah.
Like, they funnel a lot of resources into this guy, and he always carries them if they just allow themselves to be carried and they protect Niantanso. So that there was a great kind of formula of Fusion right there. That's the typical strategy win for them. How are they going to react on Final 5 side? Because you can't really ban an AD carry out. Like, it's not very effective.
You can remove certain elements, right? Here's what I know about Fusion. They're good at playing for late game AD carries, right? Like, their insurance policy is Niantanso. Jinx is right now, in my mind, the best late game AD carry, and that she's consistent.
Like, the thing is even if you ban out things like that, he's still shown that he can perform when he's playing Graves, when he's playing Corki, right?
Yeah.
Like, Jinx does give you more snowball-y potential.
And that's what I'm talking about, is the fact that, like, Fusion win the lane swap game. She's the best turret killing AD carry aside from maybe Tristana, but she's the best hybridization of turret killing and late game carry threat. Like, that is the epitome of Fusion right there. This is the AD carry that embodies how Fusion plays. This would be the one team I'd actually ban Jinx away from.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be completely worth it, though.
Maybe not. There's a lot of other good things, of course, on the table.
You really want to just kind of ban out things that would protect her and make her effective and allow you to not reach her. But I do think that they need to think about their draft here on Final 5 side, because they didn't draft anything that was going to help them wave clear or help them get onto the Jinx or get onto Niantanso in that late game, especially since they took the Janna and the Gragas on the side of Fusion.
That's true.
So they have to think about their late game win conditions, right? Like, what were you going to do with that comp if you were behind at all in any respect? Because you can't start the fight. You don't have really good split push either. Like, Rux can kind of deal with Hecarim.
No.
But, like,
that's it.
It's really, like, I don't know how they were planning to win that game.
I don't know. Seems like a bit of a misstep there for Final 5, unfortunately for them. They couldn't claw back from the 2,000 gold deficit. They picked a whole lot of bad fights because only one team gets to pick their fights. Unsurprisingly, Fusion picked some fights.
Like,
and
you can win the fight with, like, Vladimir and Rux and all these things.
If you're in a world where, like, the teams have to go, like, battle 5v5, you're okay. But guess what? Fusion gets the drop on you every single time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Hecarim goes and kills Sivir every single time. That doesn't really exist here for Final 5. Like, Gnar Vlad try really hard to reach Jinx and then probably still don't even kill her. And we saw that in these fights. That was kind of the unfortunate thing. Either pick real divers, and to be fair, we did, for example, see first pick Hecarim, right? That got removed right away. Fusion didn't allow that to get played whatsoever. they grabbed an early Janna, they grabbed an early Gragas. They got rid of, I mean, I guess Nautilus has at least some backline stun, right? They didn't let Sheep play a support that could reach the backline. Maybe she should play Leona, I don't know.
Click on Nian Tansu has pretty much been his downfall. We saw Lissandra lock him up and just crush him.
And heck, that champion is still available, right? Like, Annie could have been picked at a certain point. Leona was still on the table at the very end of that game. Lissandra could have been an option. Absolutely, I agree with you. Some point-and-click stuns could have probably helped Final Five a whole lot. Gates really got a twisted fate. Right? If Fusion are trying to play this big rotational game where they split up, they often make mistakes. You know they make mistakes in the mid to late game. Why not pick a global revealing teleport to go pick people off? Like, that's also, I think, an option. And things that I would want to see Final Five play overall on their Game 2 here.
There's a lot of thinking here for Final Five to do. They have to come in with a clear game plan of what they have to do to win. Because that last game, Vladimir, Rek'Sai, Gnar, Sivir, Morgana. It's like Sivir, Morgana, good lane, right? You can win that lane.
Fighting.
Yeah, good team fighting. But the way you start the team fight is you pick somebody, you hope they mess up so you can start it, or you just ulti and all get in there. But the disengage, the two forms of disengage, it's not just a Janna, it's a Gragas as well. So there's a lot of ways for Fusion to deal with what Final Five had drafted. So I think it was kind of sloppy by Final Five with their champions coming in there.
All right, well, we'll see if Final Five can fix these issues or if Fusion can make it a 2-0. But as the players ready up for Game 2, we're going to take a short break. But when we come back, it's Team Fusion attempting to reach the Summer Promotion Tournament with one more victory against Final Five. Don't go anywhere. Level 6 on Chunky Fresh. He holds out and not back in. They are afraid of the re-engage, and for good reason. Down goes Niantanso right off the bat. Is taking some damage, but Veritas gets feared. Chunky Fresh saves the day, and this is going to be a cleanup crew now for Fusion. Gates not going to get anything done here. Janna comes down, and Nintendo very low as well. Rux goes in, but down goes the backline as Chunky Fresh engages for two more. Who can even start the fight? There's the backline dive. Rux goes down first. The tank gets exploded.